Jessica here. I am super excited today to introduce to you my friend Georgiana, and I wanted to have her come on here and share a little bit about her Avon story and to help let you know that there are so many ways to build your Avon business and so many similarities in everyone's story. So everyone, welcome Georgiana. Hi!
Hey guys! Thank you for having me, Jess.
Yeah, it's so fun. Okay, so the reason why Georgiana and I wanted to do this video is because we wanted to share with our teams a little bit about Avon and our Avon story. So Georgiana has been selling Avon for 13 years. She is a bronze leader, and that is where she has one silver ambassador under her, a total team sales of $8,000, and at least 10 first-generation orders. She also is in President's Club. She sold at Honor Society before, but currently at President's Club, which is $10,000 every year. It's an amazing accomplishment. So, yay, Georgiana. So, very first thing, so I have a couple questions that I want to ask you, but the very first thing that I wanted to ask you is, what's your favorite Avon product?
Okay, that is hard. It's always a tough question when people ask you that because as reps, we love so many things. But I'll tell you, I'm a little bit biased. I do love Little Black Dress because that was actually the fragrance that got me into this business. So if my sister wasn't so in love with that product, I would never have become a representative. So I do love that product, but I will have to say that I am more partial to the jewelry and fashion. So it's hard to narrow it down and say one, but I've always loved the jewelry and fashion because, you know, starting off as a younger representative, I couldn't really show the benefits of the anti-aging skincare because I didn't have any wrinkles, but the jewelry, the clothing, the shoes, the accessories, I could rock that and get compliments on it and, you know, start a conversation about what I was doing with Avon.
Yeah, I love that. I'm the same. I love our fashion, our jewelry, and when you wear it, you sell it, and yeah. I love that. I love it. So, okay, what got you interested in joining Avon? Why did you start on this journey of selling Avon?
Well, I was actually a senior in high school. I was getting ready for college, and I was told that with the field that I was going into, the architectural profession, that I was going to have very little time, but I also, not only did I need funding for books and tuition, but I was also going to need extra for materials, and I had nothing. I didn't have the tuition ready. We didn't have money saved up. I was basically in a boat where I knew I was going to college. It was just a given in my household. It was college or bust, but there was no money set aside for it. So I knew I needed to work. I knew I was going to have long hours, and I was trying to figure out what I could do to help myself earn extra income to pay for tuition and books and materials, but also have the flexibility in my schedule. Because I had friends who were trying to do both the work and school, and they were telling me how stressful it was having to argue with coworkers and bosses to get their own time. So it just so happened at that very moment, my sister was looking for the Little Black Dress perfume. She wandered into an Avon training center, and they shared the Avon opportunity with her. They sent her home with a couple of brochures and an order booklet, and she brought all that stuff home. And I always joke and say, she's the older sister. I got into her stuff as the younger sister and started looking through her stuff and was like, what's all this? And she told me about Avon and the earnings opportunity. And I said, yeah, this is something that I could do. I could work it in my own time. I could, you know, work it around my school schedule and still make extra income for school. My other options were to work at Modell's or Burger King, which I didn't want to do. So here I was with the beautiful Avon catalog, with the fashion and the jewelry. While I didn't have a background in sales, I felt that it was something that I could do. And that's how I got into Avon.
and here you are. Yay, 13 years later. Isn't that amazing how quickly
Yes.
time passes? Like, I never would have thought 10 years ago that I would still be doing Avon. And here I am, loving it more than I did then. So, yeah.
See, I can't say all that yet. But yeah, you get in a position where the thing that you thought was going to be your little side hustle, a little thing for money on the side, or for meeting friends or getting a discount on your clothing. And then once you get into the atmosphere, you connect with other representatives and you realize how much you love the atmosphere here.
Yeah, and it's like so much bigger than just handing out brochures and collecting orders. Like there's so much to Avon. That's
Right.
fine. That's fine. So, okay, when you decided to join and then you were just wanting to make some extra money, how long was it until you reached President's Club?
Well, to be honest with you, as I said, I didn't think of Avon as I thought of it as a way to earn a little extra money on the side. But those words I eventually learned were sort of hindering my progress. But I didn't know of anyone who was in President's Club or top seller or top recruiter. I didn't know anyone else who sold Avon until I joined and started to go to the meetings and trainings. But I always thought of it as a little side thing, and that was my belief window. So while I was in college, while I was involved in going to the meetings outside of midterms and finals, I wasn't really proactively selling as much as I could. I didn't realize the possibilities. I saw the names of representatives in the catalogs and I wanted to be like the people that I saw, but I didn't think it was possible for me. So my average orders for the first say 5 or 6 years while I was in school, they were like 100, 150. I wasn't actively searching for customers as much as I did after graduation. But after graduation, I actually graduated at the bottom of the recession, so they weren't hiring in my profession. And I was thinking about going for a temp job to just find something, because I knew I had 3 months worth of savings to last me for that time out of school, and I knew after a given time my loans would kick in and I would have to start paying that. So I was thinking about going for another job, and my friend said to me, well, what about this Avon thing that you're doing? And I was like, well, what about it? It's my side thing. I need a real job. And she was like, well, you make money from it, don't you? But it got the wheels turning, and I said, you know what? Let me reach out to Avon and see where I can go for training or workshops, you know, how I can get myself plugged in. I remember that they used to have little sales meetings, so I started to go to those, and that was the point where I really started to work my business and get more catalogs out, invest in brochures, and start talking to people more. And I saw my sales start to increase. And then someone said to me, well, have you ever thought about President's Club? You're tracking for it. And I was like, yeah, they told me about it when I first joined, but that's $10,000 in a year. I would never sell that much. I never had before. And she was like, just because, and these words stuck with me all these years. She said, just because you haven't done it or because you haven't seen anyone else do it doesn't mean that it can't be done. And she would always tell me that. And I actually made President's Club that year. It was 2009. That was my first year making President's Club. And I had to push to earn it. But when I did earn it, I was like, okay, this is possible.
Yeah, I can do this. I'm really similar. I did not see the earnings opportunity. My orders were smaller when I was working, I was going to school, and I didn't really recognize that reaching President's Club is a big deal, and you get a lot of recognition and awards and earnings. So I was the same way. It took me a while to kind of catch on and get on the train to get President's Club, but
right.
So
someone has to like break it down for you, because for me, I knew about it and I knew that when you earn it, you get that recognition, but I didn't realize the value of it for me and my business. And when someone did the math for me, and I sat down, you know, with pen and paper and a calculator, and I looked at my earnings for the previous years, and I said, okay, well, I've been selling, this is how much I've sold the last few years, and this is the commission that I earning, you know, 20 and 30%. But if I was President's Club, I would have been earning 40% on the main products and 25% on the other products. And I did the math on it, and I realized I was leaving hundreds of dollars on the table, even at that sales level under 10,000. I said, you know what? I can't afford to leave money on the table. I need to get to President's Club to earn that 40%, so that, you know, whatever I sell, I'm getting the maximum commission that I can possibly get.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think that like President's Club is very much like a good launching point. Like it is a great foundation to build upon. And yeah, that's exciting.
40% makes a huge difference.
Huge difference. And you get more demos that you could order. You
right.
get 25% on the fixed earning items, which 5% difference is I mean, it's a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
I appreciate it. So yeah. Okay, so when you decided to finally go after President's Club and reach that goal, how did you start getting your customers? What did you do to increase your sales?
Well, I had to change my mindset because, as I said, at first, I was really just focused on not even making a lot of money because I didn't know that that was possible. So I had to change into a mindset where I knew that earning extra was possible and kind of set myself up to start, I guess, actively pursuing larger sales and just making that the norm. So I had to change my belief window from the beginning. To start off, as I said, I started at 17. My friends and my social network weren't ordering because they were also broke high school students like me. So I don't have a huge family. It was my immediate family, and we didn't have, money for college, much more for them to be my customers. So it wouldn't have helped me to sell to my immediate family. So I needed to go out and meet new people. So when I first started, even way back when I was a student, I didn't have customers. I had no customer base. So I started by leaving brochures everywhere I went. I was super shy, so I wasn't that kind of, bold, talkative person to strike up conversations with strangers. So I would do what I call hit and runs, where I was even too terrified to talk to the store owner. So if it was like someone at the laundromat where we did laundry, my mom would strike up a conversation and she would kind of get my foot in the door to ask if it was okay for her daughter to leave brochures. But eventually that wasn't enough anymore. So I needed to kind of branch out on my own. So I started off by leaving brochures in beauty salons, hair salons, nail salons, barbershops. I would just go up and down the blocks and leave brochures. And then I started to toss in my neighborhood. I would put a brochure together. Let me show you guys what I do. I would basically take a what's new bag like this and put a brochure in. And I would either hang it on doorknobs or on fences or take the back and then, just toss it into my neighbor's yards. And that's how I found the majority of my initial customers. As I got older and I started to practice talking more and getting more comfortable talking to strangers, then I started to do events and fairs where we set up a table and, we would have the Avon sign out and people would come to talk to us. We would give them samples, we would do raffles and play games and things like that. So that really helped boost my confidence.
Mm-hmm. I know when I first started, I was so nervous to talk to people, and that's a whole nother story, but
we all start like that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. I mean, I don't know very many people who are okay with just going up to strangers and offering them, an Avon brochure. My husband, he could talk to anybody, so it's easy for him, but definitely not me. So when you were prospecting for customers, were you finding team members? How did you start building your team?
Well, that was another thing that came along after I got plugged in and got connected and started to go to the meetings and starting to hear the talk and the conversations about recruiting and team building and the benefits of that residual income. Because with sales, it's great because, you sell, you earn. But when you start to look at team building, that's like, there's a saying, I think it's Zig Ziglar who says it, but I can never remember. But there's a quote where they say you could do 100% of the work yourself, or you can have 100 people doing 1% of the work, and you still get the 100% done. And again, it was a mindset shift for me. So I started to think in those terms, like, okay, if I am capable of selling this amount, that's fine. But in the past, when I sold as a student, once midterms and finals came around, my customers were super understanding and they're super supportive of me and my studies. But usually in those times, my sales would tank because my focus, my energy, and concentration as architecture students, we were basically living on campus during midterms and finals. So I rarely had time to deliver orders. So I saw the impact of 100% of the work being on my shoulders. And I realized that if I built a team, that residual income, if I was down, then someone else would still be working and picking up the team business. Or if, they were down, someone else would be there. So there would always be someone who is, still working if one of us was down. Just that the same team warrior military mentality, we all would have each other's backs. And I started to think along those terms, and I realized that it would be beneficial to start building that residual income. And I got into leadership at first by I talked to my customers at first, the people who were purchasing a lot, and I shared with them that they would get a discount on the products that they were already ordering at full price. So I first talked to them, and then I started to put recruiting flyers in the brochures that I gave out. And then when we did events, at first, I'll be honest with you, I did it backwards. A lot of people do events at first to find customers. My intention was to find recruits, but instead of looking for customers and finding recruits, I went at it looking for recruits and finding customers. So for me, it was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think a lot of people try to get their customers first, but I too immediately started looking for recruits. So, yeah. So, okay.
They come because if you're out there and you're promoting your business, I like to lead with the opportunity because I know how much it meant for me and my life and my earnings, my finances. So I always kind of lead with that. And I think a lot of people know about the business, but they don't really know the benefits of it. So I always try to explain to them, the perks of being able to travel, to get a discount on your stuff, of having the residual income as a backup in case you lose your job, which has happened to me, and you're able to fall back on your business. So I always lead with that. And then if they decide that the business aspect is something they don't want to do, then there'll be customers. But I find when I lead with the customer side, then I might lose out on a really great business partner. So yeah. I've always tried to lead with it too.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like, I think we could find customers anywhere, but to find team members, I think you have to really be intentional about it and offer it just like you're offering for customers.
Right.
So, yeah. So when you have new team members, how do you, what kind of advice do you give them? Like, what do you say to really help them get started in their business?
I'm a huge belief window person. So I try to encourage my team to know that all the possibilities are available to them. Because when I started, I know I looked at the people who are at the top of the business, and I told myself that that's for them. They have special circumstances. They live in a special place. They have special experience. And I took myself out of the running for a lot of stuff just because I didn't believe that was for me. And even in the business, I'm so thankful for other representatives, team leaders, Avon corporate people who came alongside of us as representatives with that encouraging mindset, because there was stuff that I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me. And they were like, yeah, you can do that. So I try to be that person who is like, yeah, you can do that. If I could do it, 17, no prior business, no work experience, much more business management experience. If I could do this, then you could do this too. Mm-hmm. And from there, I try to just encourage them to get plugged in, because if you're attending the meetings, if you're doing the trainings online, if you're watching the videos, if you're on the Facebook groups, you'll be aware of the stuff that's happening, and you'll just by osmosis get ideas. Even if you're at an event and you're listening to the other representatives around you and you're hearing conversation, a lot of the stuff I learned and a lot of the stuff that I talk about and teach my team is not stuff that I woke up with, like, light bulb over my head at night. It was stuff I heard from other reps, talking to other people and just sharing and brainstorming ideas. They might say something that triggered something in my thoughts that I was able to take and expand upon, and then come back later and share, and we all just kind of grow from that. But I always say you have to be plugged in, because I know that when I was a student and I was disconnected, I didn't have any major growth. But when I came out and I started to attend events, that's when my business really started to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's
and it's how we met.
Yes, yeah. So your belief window, how did you increase that? Just by being connected, listening to other leaders? What got your belief window to open?
It was a combination of things. You actively have to be conscious of the moments where you're setting traps for yourself, mm-hmm. because you will undermine yourself. And in a lot of ways, I realized that it's just the atmosphere that we've grown up in. People will tell you as a child, like, yeah, you could be an astronaut, you could be the next president of the United States, you could be a ballerina, you could be whatever you want to be as a child. Right. And then as you get older, all of a sudden people are like, no, 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 no. Who do you think you are? You think you could be this, that, and the other thing, and it diminishes.
In a box.
Right, yeah, it puts you in a box, exactly. So you definitely have to be conscious of it and just nip it in the bud every time you see it going, getting out of control. But also surrounding yourself with positive people, positive, like-minded people who are also on the road to success, because there are times where you feel down and dragged in the mud, but because it's like as if you're running in a herd. If the whole herd is running and moving along, you might get tired, but you might fall back a little bit, but you'll keep going with the pack if you surround yourself with amazing people. So again, just being plugged in, and connected, and attending the events and the trainings and just connecting with those positive people was huge for me. Having amazing mentors in Avon was also a big part of it, because if they didn't believe in me and encourage me to step out of my comfort zone, then I wouldn't have grown. I would still be that super shy, afraid to talk to people person, and I wouldn't have been able to become a leader and develop in the business.
Yeah, I think that, for me, if I didn't have somebody else's belief in me, I wouldn't be where I am. So sometimes you have to ride on other people's belief in you to help you get to where you want to go. And for me, I also think it's super important to be self-aware. And so like you were saying, just kind of recognizing when you are putting up those walls for yourself and thinking, okay, why did I not give out these books? Or, why did I not talk to this person about Avon? And recognizing that and thinking, okay, what can I do differently next time? And then acting on that, and not just staying in that like, oh, I didn't do this, so this is never going to work for me. It's always, trying to continue to get better and better every day and move forward. And I think that increases my beliefs.
Yeah, the action steps. Once you, like you said, you'll have those moments where you get out there and you 100% intend to do whatever it is, talking to a person, sharing a brochure, and maybe you chicken out and you don't do it. But there's that moment in that time and place where you have that decision. Okay, am I just not going to do this anymore because I tried it once and it didn't work, so this isn't for me? Or am I going to say, okay, let me analyze this. What was my fear? What was I afraid of happening? Was that really something that was really going to happen? And if they did say no, or if, my biggest fear did happen, if they, the spotlights came on and the whole room turned around to look at me and I, it was super embarrassed, whatever, would that have been the end of the world?
Right. Yeah. Right. So what is your definition of success? How do you define what you view as success?
It changes for me, because we always talk about having our dream boards. And to be honest with you, the stuff that I wanted to accomplish when I was 17, or when I was a college student, or after I graduated from college, they've all changed. So my goals change. And I think people have to be conscious of the fact that their goals will change. And that's okay. But, they have to constantly reevaluate. So I find myself constantly reevaluating what success looks like for me, because, before, success was being able to pay all of my bills and not having anything, not having any late fees on my bills. And then success became paying off all of my debt, which was something I never thought I would be able to do. I thought I was going to be in debt up to my eyeballs from college tuition alone until I was like 50. But then, that changed. So now, as I get older, but I kind of feel like success is not just tangible things, but it's being surrounded by people you love and you care about, being able to take care of them, and yourself, that independence, financially and time-wise. So that's also one of the reasons I love being my own boss. But it's also, having the flexibility to say, I want to go somewhere, but not have to worry about, do I have enough money for that? Can I afford to do it? Can I afford to take the time off from work? You know, not having the anxiety and stress that comes with being short on funds. It's also, I think I said independence is huge. Just, you know, being that independent woman and not having to rely on anybody for anything. But also, while not relying on anyone, having people that I can count on, if that makes sense. So for me, success is a mixture of the monetary, but not focus on the monetary, but what the monetary can do for me in my life. So a lot of times people will join or start a business or start an endeavor with the thoughts that they need the cash. But it's not really about the cash. It's like, what does that cash mean for you? Yeah. I would eventually love to be able to buy my own home. I've already paid off my debt. Like I said, that was a huge goal that I had for years. Thank you. Now I just need to keep it, keep it paid off. But I think eventually I want to be in a position where I am not just in charge of my own finances and my own time, but I have the flexibility and freedom to do the things that I want to do without the stress and anxiety that comes along with just not having enough funds. Because I've come from that, and I just don't want to go back from there. I want to do a complete 180 and go in the opposite direction.
Well, it sounds like you're on your way, and that I think that you are a success now, and as your definition of success changes, I think you will continue to change and meet that definition too. So, yay! Okay, so I have two more questions. So this first one is, what is your most favorite best thing about selling Avon, being part of Avon?
I love the atmosphere. I love the camaraderie between Avon representatives. Regardless of what team you're on, regardless of what state you're on, you can connect with other people and you have that really supportive atmosphere. And it's very different from the culture of my career. So I love that when you achieve success, you know, Avon recognizes you on stage with trophies and awards and free gifts and, you know, just a verbal recognition of what you've done, the affirmations that are in this business. They always have like a positive outlook and a mindset, and I that really attracts me. I love also the empowerment, women's empowerment. Not just that as a corporation, they are the biggest supporters of breast cancer awareness and now speaking out against domestic violence. And I remember when I first started in the beginning, there were, you know, hurricane disaster relief efforts on Avon's part, and I was like, you know, they don't have to do that, but I saw that they did do it, and it was something that spoke to me, and I enjoyed that. But the fact, even though they do that on the corporate level, for representatives, the idea that they're empowering women, that they have been empowering women since before we were technically allowed to vote, you know, helping us to start our own business. I love that women's empowerment atmosphere, that mentality that comes in this business. And as a woman, you know, it's wonderful to be a part of something that values women like that and is so involved in the community and helps its representatives get involved in the community as well. So there's this huge philanthropic women's empowerment initiative in the business that I can't get enough of. Being able to work with my own team and share the opportunity, knowing that I'm empowering other people to become financially free, to erase their debt, to have the freedom to retire early and travel the world. I mean, like, how many things can you say you can do that with? Not very many. So it's great to be a part of that.
Yeah, I love that we are able to help other women and some men make changes in their life and give them this opportunity, this vehicle of Avon to change things in their life and to empower them to make big changes in their life. And I don't know, I think that's really exciting. I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, especially since, like we were kind of talking about earlier, sometimes you don't have people around you who are supportive and motivating. So to be able to get plugged into that culture and surround, you know, to have that Avon family outside of whatever you're living in, it's amazing to have people support you in those changes. And, you know, changes, like you said, my goals are going to change because life changes. There's always change, but to have people support you through that is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think that's so fun. And like you were saying, like the recognition and getting cheered on for building your business and for like putting money in your own pocket, like you get cheered on for that. And I love that. I think that's exciting because I like the recognition. I like to be told you're doing a good job. And yeah, and Avon does really good at that. And I love that. So,
yeah,
okay. Last question is, what is your greatest, most like proudest moment of being an Avon rep?
So many, like at different points in time, each step has its own significance. Like my first incentive means a lot to me because it wasn't a huge like national Avon incentive. It was a local incentive, but I earned it. And for me, that was a turning point because it, again, was one of those moments where it changed my belief window. And I realized for the first time that I can do this.
I can do this.
So, yeah, that I can do this moment was a huge thing, even though it was a small incentive. And then earning the trip to Tahiti, winning really the trip to Tahiti. I didn't do anything to earn it except show up. So super excited about that. But again, that was another moment in the business where I had never traveled before outside of the United States. So, and I had always dreamed of traveling, but we couldn't afford it. So this is the first time, like, I took a huge trip outside of the US, and it was all expenses paid by Avon. And it was, you know, it wasn't like, okay, I took a trip to, you know, no man's land and had to backpack it, which is how I thought my first trip was out of the country was going to be, because, you know, I didn't expect to be able to stay in a huge hotel. I thought I would be, you know, backpacking across Europe myself and staying in hostels and sleeping in parks. Literally, this was my plan. I talked about it with friends, like, you know, we can sleep in different parks and shower. And I was like, this is not how I want to spend my life, but I want to travel. So to be able to go stay in a 5-star hotel, all expenses paid by Avon, again, was huge for me. And it reinforced for me how much this company was willing and excited about investing in its representatives. So that was a huge part. But I think even bigger than that, as huge as that was earning the trip to Bahamas, because that was something that I earned myself. That again, you know, it was a moment where I said, I could do this, and I earned it, and I went. And it was my second trip outside of the country, also all expenses paid by Avon. But for me, it was important because it showed my family and the people that I had shared my Avon journey with along the way, and my Avon team, that this is possible. Again, if I could do it, then you could do it too. There's nothing separating us except the belief window, the will to do it, you know, just striving for it. And also, you know, you have the naysayers who are in the beginning, why are you doing this? This is just wasting your time. You know, you'll never get anywhere in this Avon thing. It's, you know, it's not going to last, et cetera, et cetera. To show them the trip to Tahiti and the trip to the Bahamas. So, you know, trip to Tahiti was 100% luck, but the trip to Bahamas was, you know, another one that I could say, look, I'm doing this.
And you did it. And yeah, I know. When you won the trip to Tahiti,
I heard you in the crowd. I really felt like
I was so excited because, you know, we didn't know what they were giving away. So Georgiana was called up on stage, on the main stage at our Rep Fest in Las Vegas, right? And,
yeah, Vegas.
And so we didn't know what she was going to win. And how many reps were up there? 4?
1, 2, 3. I think it was 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
I thought they were just giving away the necklace.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, you know, whatever they want to give, that's cool, right? And so I remember free stuff. That's another thing I love about Avon is all the free stuff. I mean, that's cool. But yeah, I remember being so excited that you were called up there. And then, like, when it was, you know, they were whittling it down to be like, oh, okay, you know, this is what so-and-so gets. And then all of a sudden you're like, you open your, was it envelope? You're like, Tahiti? And I'm like, yeah! That was so That's so exciting. But yeah, okay. All right, so we are actually out of time for today, but I know it goes by so quick. I feel like we could talk for hours, and we have talked for hours. But so I just want to say thank you so very much for being on here, sharing a little bit about your Avon story. And for the people watching, if you have questions for Georgiana, want to know a few more things, how can they connect with you?
I'm on social media. You can find me on my website, first and foremost, that has all my link, boss, that's BAUS, ladies.com. But you also find me on Instagram, Boss Lady G, as well as YouTube, Georgiana H.
All right, so I will make sure to put all of those links down in the description box. And if you guys would comment below, say what you liked about this and what other questions that we can answer for you. And just to say hi, because we would love to say hi to you as well. So that is it for today. I hope you guys are having a great day. And thank you so much, Georgiana. And that's it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.